Good evening. This is All India Radio. I'm Anuja Kumar, and with me is R.S. Raghu with the evening news. The headlines. Prime Minister Narendra Modi reiterates government's commitment to save lives and also to stabilize the economy of the country. Prime Minister calls for developing robust local supply chain to strengthen India's share in global supply chain. COVID-19 recovery rate improves to over 48%. France reaffirms its commitment to ensure timely delivery of Rafale aircraft to India despite challenges posed by COVID-19. NDRF teams deployed in Gujarat and Maharashtra in view of cyclone Nisarg. Prime Minister assures all possible support and assistance. And Centre announces development of new greenfield connectivity to Amritsar city from Nakodar as part of Delhi-Amritsar Expressway. Prime Minister Narendra Modi has asserted that coronavirus may have slowed the economy, but India will get its growth back through talent and technology. Mr. Modi affirmed his vision of making the country self-reliant and back on its trajectory of growth through intent, inclusion, investment, infrastructure and innovation. Inaugurating the annual session of Confederation of Indian Industries, CII, through video conferencing today, marking the 125th year of CII since inception, the Prime Minister shared his vision on the theme of getting growth back.
आज भी हमें जहां एक तरफ इस वायरस से लड़ने के लिए सख्त कदम उठाने हैं, वहीं दूसरी तरफ इकोनॉमी का भी ध्यान रखना है। हमें एक तरफ देशवासियों का जीवन भी बचाना है, तो दूसरी तरफ देश की अर्थव्यवस्था को भी स्टेबलाइज करना है, स्पीड अप करना है। इस सिचुएशन में आपने गेटिंग ग्रोथ बैक इस बात को प्राथमिकता दी है और निश्चित तौर पर इसके लिए आप सभी भारतीय उद्योग जगत के लोग बधाई के पात्र हैं। बल्कि मैं तो गेटिंग ग्रोथ बैक से आगे बढ़कर ये भी कहूंगा कि यस, वी विल डेफिनेटली गेट अवर ग्रोथ बैक।
In his first major address to the industry members since first phase of nationwide unlock of greater economic activities, the Prime Minister reiterated the government's commitment to save lives and also to stabilize the economy of the country. Stressing on country's capabilities and crisis management strategy, availability of talent and technology, he assured that India will be soon back on its path of healthy economy. Mr. Modi said India has entered into the first phase of nationwide unlock, opening up a larger part of economic activities. He highlighted the importance of right measures and early imposition of lockdown, which helped government to build up the required infrastructure to handle the pandemic. The Prime Minister emphasized that getting economy back on track is the government's one of the highest priorities. He said under the Pradhan Mantri Garib Kalyan Yojana, 74 crore beneficiaries were given food grains and around 8 crore migrant workers also benefited from free ration.
प्रधानमंत्री गरीब कल्याण योजना ने गरीबों को तुरंत लाभ देने में बहुत मदद की है। इस योजना के तहत करीब 74 करोड़ बेनिफिशियरीज उनके घर तक राशन पहुंचाया जा चुका है। प्रवासी श्रमिकों के लिए भी फ्री राशन पहुंचाया जा रहा है। इसके अलावा अभी तक गरीब परिवारों को 53,000 करोड़ रुपीस यानी 53,000 करोड़ रुपए से ज्यादा की फाइनेंशियल असिस्टेंस दी जा चुकी है।
The Prime Minister added that more than 8 crore gas cylinders were also delivered to households and 50 lakh employees got 24% of the contribution to Employees Provident Fund by the government. Stating about the historic reforms introduced in agriculture sector and MSMEs, the Prime Minister said that these policy reforms will have long-lasting effects on the economy and will lead to employment opportunities in the country. He said the government ensured the rights and freedom to farmers, which was due for decades. The Prime Minister said, amidst the pandemic, expectations of the world from India have increased. He said the world is looking for a trusted and reliable partner, and India has the potential, strength and ability. He urged industrialists and people of the country to utilize these testing times as an opportunity to emerge as a reliable global face. He called for developing a robust local supply chain which can strengthen India's share in the global supply chain. Mr. Modi made a clarion call for Made in India, Made for the World to ensure self-reliance for the country.
सभी स्टेक होल्डर्स से मैं लगातार संवाद करता हूं और ये सिलसिला आगे भी जारी रहेगा. I request you to come up with a detailed study of every sector, build consensus, develop concept, think big. We will together take up more structural reforms that will change the course of our country. We will together build Atmanirbhar Bharat.
The Prime Minister also stressed on measures to be brought in to cut down imports for products which can be easily manufactured in the country. He assured the industry members of every possible government support to achieve the shared vision of Atmanirbhar Bharat.
Health and Family Welfare Ministry said that COVID-19 recovery rate has reached 48.07% in the country and a total 95,527 people affected with novel coronavirus have been cured so far. Briefing media in New Delhi today, a health ministry official said that recovery rate has been improving continuously.
मैं आप लोगों की दृष्टि में लाना चाहूंगा कि देश का रिकवरी रेट कंटिन्यूसली इंप्रूव कर रहा है. कल की तारीख में भी देखें तो 3,708 पीपल दे हैव गॉट रिकवर्ड और उसके साथ ही देखें कि टोटल हमारा रिकवरी नंबर जो है वो बढ़कर 95,527 पेशेंट्स हो चुका है. 15 अप्रैल में अगर देश का रिकवरी रेट करीब 11.42% था, 3 मई तक बढ़कर वह 26.59% हुआ. 18 मई को वही बढ़कर 38.29% और आज बढ़कर 48.07% हो चुका है.
The Health Ministry said though the number of corona cases are increasing in India, but in comparison to other countries in the world, less cases and deaths have been reported. It said 14 countries with popular numbers similar to India have reported 22.5 times more cases and 55.2 times more deaths in comparison. It said surveillance, contact tracing, isolation and timely clinical management have reduced the fatality rate in the country. The ministry said case fatality was 3.30% on 15th April and now it is at 2.82%, which is lowest among other countries of the world. The worldwide fatality rate is 6.13%. Indian Council of Medical Research ICMR has said that testing capacities are scaled up during the last 2 months and now 1 lakh tests are being done every day. Researchers at the Defence Institute of Advanced Technology DIET in Pune have developed an artificial intelligence-enabled COVID-19 detection tool which uses chest X-rays of patients to identify the infection. According to a press release, chest X-rays of suspected patients can be uploaded on this AI tool which immediately confirms any abnormality due to COVID-19 or other kinds of respiratory disorders. This will be a useful tool for radiologists and can also be used in telemedicine. The DIET has made it available for free on its website www.diat.ac.in where a link has been provided. Tamil Nadu Chief Minister Edappadi Palaniswamy has said the state has sufficient number of RT-PCR kits to test COVID-19 samples with its hospitals. He reviewed the pandemic situation in Chennai with officials at the City Corporation headquarters Ripon building today. In the meeting, he said over 2.7 lakh kits are in store now and is being replenished regularly. He said every day around 13,000 tests are being made in the state, with Chennai alone accounting for about 4,000 tests. He said it helps identify more hidden cases. Meanwhile, the COVID-19 tally in Tamil Nadu has crossed 24,000 mark with 1,091 people confirmed today. 13 people died of the disease in the last 24 hours, mounting the fatalities to 197. The active caseload remains at 10,680 while 536 others have been discharged today. More from our correspondent.
Under the Operation Samudra Sedu, the Indian Navy's amphibious transport vessel INS Jalashwa reached Tuticorin in Tamil Nadu today with 685 stranded passengers. It is the first ship to reach Indian shores from Sri Lanka with evacuees under the Samudra Setu mission. The embarkation has been facilitated by the Indian mission in Colombo. The ship began her voyage from Colombo last evening. On her arrival today, the evacuees were subjected to health screening and the Tuticorin district administration dispatched them in several vehicles to their respective home districts. They have been advised to observe self-quarantine for 2 weeks at their homes. The passengers expressed happiness saying they had a pleasant journey in the naval ship. Jai Singh, AR News, Chennai.
Kerala continues to report a rise in COVID-19 cases with 86 new cases and one more COVID death today. A report.
The deceased is a 77-year-old who was under treatment in Thiruvananthapuram Medical College. The COVID death toll in the state rose to 11. Presently, 774 active cases are there in the state. Meanwhile, as monsoon strengthens in the state, orange alert is issued in Kozhikode, Kasaragod and Kannur districts for tomorrow. Yellow alert is issued in 4 districts. The Kerala State Disaster Management Authority informed the people living in landslide-prone regions to remain ready to shift as and when district authority informs. Mayusha for AR News from Thiruvananthapuram.
Himachal Pradesh registered 5 more fresh cases of COVID-19 today, taking the virus tally in the state to 345. Of these fresh cases, 2 of them were asymptomatic and tested positive for COVID-19. A report.
Out of 2 asymptomatic returnees who arrived Kangra from Delhi few days back have been tested positive for COVID-19 and have been shifted to the institutional quarantine at Bajnath. 2 persons at Mandi district have also been tested positive who have recently returned to the state from Maharashtra and Madhya Pradesh. Most of the people who are being tested positive for COVID-19 are returnees from across the country. Presently, 212 corona positive patients are under treatment in the state. However, 124 people have also been recovered after the treatment. Reports of 940 samples are still awaited. Most of the persons found corona positive have returned to Himachal from other parts of the states. Sanjeev Sundariyal, AR News, Shimla.
During the lockdown, many people were stuck away from their homes. At this juncture, central and state governments came forward to help such persons. Our Lucknow correspondent has filed this report on how the Prime Minister's office helped a worried father from Kanpur whose daughters were stuck in Gurgaon.
मेरी 2 बच्चियां गुड़गांव में फंस गई थी लॉकडाउन के पीरियड में, तो पीएमओ ऑफिस में हमने राइटिंग में लेटर लिखा पीएमओ की वेबसाइट पे कि भाई उनको अलाउ किया जाए ओन व्हीकल से आने के लिए, जिससे कि वो अपने होम टाउन आ सके.
Rajkumar Manglik, a chartered accountant from Kanpur, still remembers the date of 28th March this year when during first phase of lockdown, his daughters were stuck in Gurgaon and as a worried father, he wrote an online letter to PMO for help and the reply came very promptly.
PMO ऑफिस से हमको बड़ा प्रॉम्प्टली जवाब आ गया और वो लेटर उन्होंने हरियाणा गवर्नमेंट के लिए उन्होंने ऑथराइज किया था कि आप इनको तुरंत कार्रवाई की जाए. उसके 10 दिन के अंदर हरियाणा गवर्नमेंट से भी फोन आ गया था हमारे पास. वो आना चाहें तो वो ई पास के लिए हरियाणा सरल के वेबसाइट पे अप्लाई कर दें, वी विल अलाउ इट. और यूपी की जो परमिशन है वो आप यूपी गवर्नमेंट से अप्लाई करके ले लीजिए.
As a satisfied citizen, he thanks government for extending help in such an unprecedented time.
तो वी आर फुल्ली सेटिस्फाइड विद द गवर्नमेंट वर्किंग. इतनी हार्ड टाइम में भी उन्होंने इतना प्रॉम्प्टली हमको रेस्पॉन्स दिया, जबकि लाखों क्या करोड़ों लोगों ने एप्लीकेशन डाली होगी. And we are thankful to the government for their prompt reply.
There are thousands like Rajkumar who got timely redressal of their grievances during lockdown and thanking government for prompt reply. Sushil Chandra Tiwari, AIR News, Lucknow.
In Rajasthan, under Unlock 1, public transport facilities are gradually increasing in the state. Rajasthan Roadways will start bus services on more than 100 routes in the state from tomorrow. Rajasthan State Road Transport Corporation has issued orders regarding this today. More from our correspondent.
Apart from the major cities of the state, bus services will also be resumed from Jaipur to Gurugram. However, the operation of the private buses has yet not started in the state. Managing Director of Rajasthan State Road Transport Corporation, Naveen Jain, told that passengers will be given entry at the bus stand only after screening. Passengers will be allowed to travel in a limited number. He said that buses would be sanitized twice a day. Meanwhile, the number of people recovered from COVID infection in the state is continuously increasing. More than 67% of corona-infected persons have been cured so far. Jitendra Dwivedi, AIR News, Jaipur.
In the Union Territory of Jammu and Kashmir, Srinagar District Administration has enlisted 5-star hotels of the city and 40 luxury lodges and houseboats for quarantine facilities. It has also capped the tariffs at a fair and reasonable level so as to not burden those who return home. This initiative of the government to enlist luxury hotels has received a warm response as nearly 48% of those arriving in the city from outside have opted for them. More from our Srinagar correspondent.
Srinagar District Administration has roped in 5-star hotels of Srinagar city like Lilith Grand Palace and Taj Vivanta, including several houseboats for paid quarantine facilities. This has been made for those arriving into the Srinagar city from different parts of the country and abroad amid coronavirus pandemic. Quarantine at 5-star hotels like Lilith Grand Palace is known for its scenic surroundings, where several Hindi films have been shot in the past, is now available on demand for their returnees. This is Sunil Kohl for AIR News from Srinagar.
You are listening to the evening news on All India Radio. A reminder of the headlines before we move on. Prime Minister Narendra Modi reiterates government's commitment to save lives and also to stabilize economy of the country. Prime Minister calls for developing robust local supply chain to strengthen India's share in global supply chain. COVID-19 recovery rate improves to over 48%. France reaffirms its commitment to ensure timely delivery of Rafale aircraft to India despite challenges posed by COVID-19. NDRF teams deployed in Gujarat and Maharashtra in view of cyclone Nisarga. Prime Minister assures all possible support and assistance. Centre announces development of new greenfield connectivity to Amritsar city from Nakodar as part of Delhi-Amritsar Expressway. For quick news updates round the clock, follow us on our Twitter handle at AIR News Alerts.
अरे बबलू, लॉकडाउन खुलते ही टहलने निकल पड़े। महामारी अभी फैली हुई है।
सरपंच जी टहलने नहीं, कहाँ पे वापस जा रहे हैं?
तुझे डर नहीं लगता वायरस पकड़ लेगा?
पहले थोड़ा बहुत डर लगता था, फिर पता चला कि अगर मैंने पूरी सावधानी बरती तो ये बीमारी होने की संभावना कम है। सबसे महत्वपूर्ण है ये मास्क। काम पर मास्क हमेशा पहनूंगा, समय समय पर हाथ धोता रहूंगा और दूसरों से हर वक्त कम से कम 2 गज की दूरी बनाए रखूंगा। खुद को, दूसरों को और अपने परिवार वालों को भी सुरक्षित रखूंगा।
अरे भाई, मेरी जिम्मेदारी बनती है तुझे चेतावनी देना, तो दे दिया।
जब देश के मेडिकल और स्वच्छता कर्मचारी रोज कोरोना वायरस से लड़ने का काम कर रहे हैं, तो हमारी भी तो जिम्मेदारी बनती है अपना काम करने की।
बबलू, तुझे कुछ हो गया तो?
हजारों लोग इस बीमारी को हराकर ठीक हो चुके हैं और अगर किसी कारण मुझे ये बीमारी हो भी जाए तो सरकार ने अस्पताल में हमारे इलाज के लिए पर्याप्त व्यवस्था कर रखी है। ये घबराने का वक्त नहीं, एक दूसरे का हौसला बढ़ाने का वक्त है।
अरे ऐसे क्या देख रहा है? तू काम पे जाएगा, मैं नहीं जाऊंगा, नाक नहीं कट जाएगी मेरी। चलो
मास्क।
हाँ, मास्क।
अरे नाक तो ढक लो।
हाँ।
कोरोना वायरस से हमें लड़ाई जारी रखनी पड़ेगी और उससे डर कर नहीं, पूरी सावधानी के साथ डट कर चलिए। रुकी जिंदगी को आगे बढ़ाएं, देश को आत्मनिर्भर बनाएं। जय हिंद।
France reaffirmed its commitment to ensure timely delivery of Rafale aircraft to India despite the challenges posed by the COVID-19 pandemic. French Minister of Armed Forces, Ms. Florence Parly, today assured Defence Minister Rajnath Singh of the delivery during a telephonic conversation. Both the leaders discussed matters of mutual concern, including COVID-19 situation, regional security, and agreed to strengthen the bilateral defence cooperation between India and France. Both ministers appreciated the efforts made by the armed forces of India and France in fighting the COVID-19 pandemic. Mr. Singh welcomed the French chairmanship of Indian Ocean Naval Symposium from 2020 to 2022. The two ministers agreed to work together to fulfill the India-France joint strategic vision on the Indian Ocean region of 2018. Under Vande Bharat mission, 169 stranded passengers from Dhaka, Bangladesh, reached Gaya in Bihar this afternoon. These passengers were stranded due to lockdown. Amongst them, 125 are from Bihar, while 44 are from Jharkhand. Passengers of Jharkhand were sent to their state by road, while those from Bihar were sent to stay in paid hotel quarantine for 7 days after thermal screening. Over 700 Indian labourers from Sri Lanka arrived at the Thoothukudi-Chidambarnar port in Tamil Nadu today. Indian naval ship INS Jalashwa brought them under the Operation Samudra Setu for bringing labourers from other countries by ships. The labourers who arrived today include 699 people from Tamil Nadu, 3 from Puducherry, 2 from Karnataka and 1 person from Kerala.
In Nepal, the number of COVID-19 cases has crossed 2,000 mark. According to the Ministry of Health and Population, 288 people have tested positive during last 24 hours, taking total number to 2,099. The ministry said 45 more people have been cured and discharged from various hospitals. 8 persons have died of COVID-19 so far in the country. Bangladesh today reported the highest number of fresh corona infections in a day. 2,911 people tested positive for corona infection in the country over the last 24 hours, taking the total number of infected people to 52,445. During this period, 37 patients died due to corona, raising the number of deaths to 709. Meanwhile, the first death due to coronavirus in the Rohingya refugee camps was reported at Ukhyas in Cox's Bazar area of Bangladesh. The Cox's Bazar area shelters more than 1 million Rohingya refugees who came to Bangladesh.
Cabinet Secretary Rajiv Gauba chaired the second meeting of the National Crisis Management Committee (NCMC) to review the preparedness of states and central government agencies to deal with cyclonic storm Nisarg. Reviewing the preparedness, the Cabinet Secretary directed that all necessary measures must be taken to complete the evacuation process and ensure the return of all fishermen from the sea. He said special efforts are to be made to ensure that essential medical services to COVID-affected people are not disrupted. Agencies are also directed to activate contingency plans for power, telecommunication, nuclear, chemical, aviation and shipping infrastructure. States and central government officers apprised about the preparatory measures taken to deal with the situation. The officers assured that adequate stocks of essential supplies are available and SMS messages have been sent to warn the residents likely to be affected by the cyclone. They also informed that evacuation of people is underway. NDRF has deployed 40 teams and additional teams are also being airlifted. Rescue and relief teams of Army and Navy have been put on standby. The storm is likely to impact the coastal districts of Maharashtra, Gujarat and Daman, Dadra and Nagar Haveli. Talking to EIR News, Director General of NDRF, S.N. Pradhan, has said that NDRF teams have been deployed in Gujarat and Maharashtra in view of Cyclone Nisarg. He said although the cyclone is not in the extremely severe category, all precautions are being taken.
Upcoming cyclone off the coast of Gujarat and Maharashtra is a severe cyclonic storm category. It is not the super cyclone or the extremely severe cyclone that we have just witnessed in Amphan. As far as the wind speeds are concerned, they will be in the region of 100 or 90 kilometers per hour. So that's why in disaster response terms, it is a negotiable wind speed and we should be able to protect maximum life and property. And we can have, in fact, full effort for zero casualty in both the states.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi has spoken to the Chief Minister of Maharashtra, Uddhav Thackeray, Chief Minister of Gujarat, Vijay Rupani, and Administrator of Daman, Diu, Dadar and Nagar Haveli, Praful K. Patel, regarding the cyclonic storm situation. He assured them of all possible support and assistance from the centre. Parts of Konkan, including Mumbai and its suburbs, have started to witness light showers as severe cyclonic storm Nisarg is expected to hit Maharashtra tomorrow afternoon. According to the Indian Meteorological Department, the cyclonic storm is currently about 430 kilometers from Mumbai. The cyclone is likely to make landfall near Alibag, that lies 95 kilometers from Mumbai. Its wind speed is likely to be around 100 to 110, gusting to 120 kilometers per hour. The cyclonic storm Nisarg over the east central Arabian Sea is heading northwards and is situated 600 kilometers from Surat. The Met Department today said the cyclone will make landfall between Harihareshwar and Daman coast.
Landslides due to heavy rainfall claimed 21 lives in Barak Valley of Assam and disrupted train services. Landslides at 3 different places in Hailakandi district killed 8 persons today, while 7 lost their lives in Jaipur of Kachar district. 6 deaths were reported from Kaliganj of Karimganj district too. Environment and Forest Minister Parimal Shukla Baidya visited landslide sites in Hailakandi. President Ramnath Kovind expressed his condolences to the families of the victims via Twitter. Following directions from the Chief Minister, the Kachar District Administration handed ex gratia cheques of 4 lakh rupees to the kin of each deceased today itself. Cheques in 2 other affected districts will be handed over tomorrow. The Narendra Modi government has completed 1 year of its second term in office. It has always accorded high priority to the agriculture sector and welfare of farmers. During the last 1 year, various important schemes were launched with an aim to boost agriculture sector and to enhance farmers' income. In the first Union Cabinet meeting of its second term, the Modi government decided to extend the Pradhan Mantri Kisan Samman Nidhi scheme to cover all farmer families in the country, irrespective of the size of their land holdings, from 1st of June last year, excluding affluent categories. The scheme initially provided income support to all small and marginal farmers' families across the country, holding cultivable land up to 2 hectares. An amount of 6,000 rupees is provided per year in 3 equal installments directly into the bank account of farmers under the scheme. More from our correspondent.
Under the PM Kisan scheme, during the lockdown period from 24th of March, 9.67 crore farmers have been benefited and an amount of 19,350 crore rupees has been released so far. The government also launched Pradhan Mantri Kisan Man Dhan Yojana on 12th of September last year to ensure payment of minimum pension of 3,000 rupees per month to the eligible small and marginal farmers on attaining the age of 60 years. During the period, 415 new mandis have been integrated with National Agriculture Market e-name platform. With this, e-name platform now has a total number of 1,000 mandis across 18 states and 3 union territories. Besides, the Kisan Rath mobile app was also launched to facilitate farmers and traders in identifying the right mode of transportation for movement of farm produce. Under Atmanirbhar Bharat Abhiyan, the government has announced 1 lakh crore rupees agri-infrastructure fund for farm gate infrastructure for farmers. Anand Kumar, AIR News, Delhi.
The centre today announced the development of a new greenfield connectivity to Amritsar city from Nakodar via Sultanpur Lodi, Goindwal Sahib, Khadur Sahib as part of Delhi-Amritsar Expressway. Announcing this, Minister for Road Transport and Highways and MSMEs, Nitin Gadkari, said the road from Amritsar to Gurdaspur will also be fully developed and made completely signal-free. With this, there will be options to travel to Gurdaspur onwards from Nakodar either via Amritsar or via Kartarpur. Once the project is completed, the travel time from Amritsar to Delhi International Airport will reduce by about 4 hours. The first phase of expressway would involve an investment of about 25,000 crore rupees.
In an effort to guard against fake news being circulated on various platforms, we bring you a segment on fact-checking and mythbusters. A newspaper report has stated that continuous use of sanitizer for 50 to 60 days can lead to harmful skin disease and cancer. This information is false. The PIB fact-check handle tweeted that use of hand sanitizers does not harm humans. It further said that hand sanitizers with 70% alcohol content are recommended for protection against COVID-19.
Now let us take a look at the weather forecast for tomorrow. The national capital Delhi will witness minimum temperature of 24 degrees Celsius and maximum 37 degrees Celsius with generally cloudy sky with light rain or drizzle. On to the north, in the Union Territory of Jammu and Kashmir, the minimum temperature will be 22 degrees Celsius in Jammu while maximum will be around 35 degrees. In Gilgit, the temperature will hover between 16 and 27 degrees Celsius. In Muzaffarabad, the sky will be partly cloudy with possibility of rain or thunderstorm or dust storm. And now, before we end the headlines once again, Prime Minister Narendra Modi reiterates government's commitment to save lives and also to stabilize the economy of the country. Prime Minister calls for developing robust local supply chain to strengthen India's share in global supply chain. COVID-19 recovery rate improves to over 48%. France reaffirms its commitment to ensure timely delivery of Rafale aircraft to India despite challenges posed by COVID-19. NDRF teams deployed in Gujarat and Maharashtra in view of cyclone Nisarg. Prime Minister assures all possible support and assistance. centre announces development of new greenfield connectivity to Amritsar city from Nakodar as part of Delhi-Amritsar Expressway. The Ministry of Health and Family Welfare has shared a song on its website in order to increase awareness about the risks and disadvantages of spitting in public. Let's listen in. And with that we end the evening news.